minsan sa role nila.
पापा ऐसे खुद को ऑक्यूपाइड रख।
Okay, so let us start the topic for today. Good afternoon. So, what was that last weekend we completed? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what was that last we completed last weekend?
Gave the overview on cloud formation, CloudFront.
No. I had not started overview topics. I think I have cloud. I think
CloudWatch, SNS.
CloudWatch, SNS. Yeah. Next. CloudWatch, SNS. What are the topics? Trusted Advisor, CloudTrail, and CloudFront. I think these topics we completed, if I'm not wrong. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we are left with now the last topics, that is fundamentals, the overview of the developer topic, like DevOps, overview of DevOps, and Docker, and cloud formation overview, right? These all are overviews which are pending. Now, anybody has any knowledge and development here in this team? In development background, anybody from? Nobody is from development background? Yes, no, yes, yes.
No, Samir, not yet. I don't have.
Okay. So what is DevOps? Anybody has an idea what is DevOps?
It is like development and operations.
Yeah, very good. The development of operations. What exactly DevOps means? Why do we need a DevOps? Because the next course, if you people want to get into the automation world, then you can go with this course called as DevOps. But how exactly this DevOps will help you? So what is this DevOps is all about?
In order to eradicate confusions between development team and operation team.
Okay.
DevOps is basically when we execute the creation of the instances or other area customized or using automation. In that scenario, DevOps comes into the picture.
Okay.
So basically, the services which we use, like EPS or the S3 and all these things. So using DevOps, we did this as a person. But by using DevOps, we can automate these things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not only automate, it is also customized according to the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So some people said couple of things. So basically, DevOps is nothing but, as you know, right, the combination of development plus administrators or operations people. We generally say DevOps model. It is basically agile model where certain skills on the operations you need and certain skills you need on the development to get the life cycle management, to get the multi skills on the application provisioning to become faster. We use this DevOps. Very much famous tool. Okay. So this tool is, if you take in different organizations, there are, so many different tools they're using for this DevOps. So you can, there are so many different tools are there. So what exactly DevOps will do is that you need to understand. So first you need to understand the infrastructure. In infrastructure, like server builds, network builds, storage, whatever you're doing, basically the core layer of infrastructure you're doing. And top of that, the developers will write the development code and they have started working on the coding and they do it. Now, how can I mix both of them in a single entity, and how can I integrate both of them with a single entity is the question when it comes to DevOps. So let us understand this. So let us take one use case. Now, if you take a use case, when it comes to infrastructure, let's take, let's assume that you have EC2 instances and every instances requires, at least let's take that every instance is required 100 GB of hard disk. Okay. Now, by default, whenever you need, you are keep on increasing that hard disk. Now, what will happen? Like, every time you're doing manually, one machine, two machine, you're increasing the volumes manually, no problem. Just imagine you have hundreds of disks and different instances and hundreds of machines are using this. How will you manage it? Means, what is the way to manage these different types of disks is one of the challenge what you get, right? Now, every time logging in manually, increasing the hard disk will be painful, to the administrator, to the operations guy to do it, right? Now, the approach what I can do is that I can do an approach of automating those tasks by saying that whenever my hard disk becomes full 90%, automatically extend to 10 more GB or 20 more GB, which means that I am telling if so and so XYZ disk gets filled on so and so time, your disk need to be extended, right? So like that, we can define certain use cases. That is one of the use case, or other DevOps use cases. Like you need to change some firewall rules to, a couple of the machines, or you want to define certain configuration to a couple of machines, right? Not to the complete machines. So there also your, you can use this DevOps use case model, like, to automate certain tasks. Or you can say that network cycling, you want to do a network recycle, you want to do change some of the files, some of the firewalls. settings, right? So for certain devices based on some XYZ requirement. So how can I do it? So this DevOps basically has the complete development plus operation role as a combination. So it's a pipeline which it creates. So DevOps is so many different tools are there in the DevOps to create this solution on as a complete package. So we have continuous integration, continuous development, monitoring. All together we generally say the DevOps. That's the reason we say agile model in the DevOps. So how does this agile model works is what you need to understand. So basically first thing is that couple of points are very important. The major thing is that the continuous deployment will come into the picture in DevOps. So let me share you my screen. 1 second. Okay. So one is, I would say, continuous deployment, continuous development, two major things, continuous testing is one thing. And continuous integration and continuous monitoring. How many things? 5 things. Continuous development, continuous deployment, continuous testing, continuous integration, and continuous monitoring. So when it comes to the deployment, we say CD, right? Continuous deployment. So which is very important. So where you will get some kind of a tools, right? Puppet, Chef, Ansible, or SaltStack, which is the tools which has the server methodology tools, which we say. So where you can have this what we say that continuous deployment method, where you can deploy multiple applications, multiple use cases with the help of these deployment tools. So this continuous deployment, these tools are, Puppet is one tool, Chef is one tool, Ansible is one tool, SaltStack is one tool. There's so many different tools are there, continuous deployment tools. Okay, so these are the major tools which we use. And so basically this is for the two things are there. One is for continuous integration and one is for continuous deployment. So integration is nothing but combining multiple options, and deployment is nothing but where you use the deploy. So in AWS, we have AWS Code Deploy for the deployment tool. And for the integration, we have third-party tools are also available. So you can use these kind of a tools for your DevOps purpose. And for the development purpose, you can also, there are so many different tools are there for development. Basically, you can talk about Git, you can talk about Confluence, you can talk about Jira, VSTS. Like this, so many different tools are there on when it comes to the development part. And when it comes to the continuous testing, we have Selenium, we have Zephyr, we have Test Complete, we have JUnit. Like this, we have different tools are there. Continuous integration, you can take Jenkins is there, Bamboo is there, and we have Hudson. Like this, different tools are there. For the monitoring, we have something called as Splunk, we have Nagios, we have ELK Stack, we have Sensu. Like this, we have different tools are there, which can do this, continuous monitoring. Now, all these tools, all this system, everything can be developed, can be made in a single solution called as DevOps. So which means that when, let us take one use case, just now I told you, that is nothing but AWS use case. I want to extend the hard disk automatically. When I say I want to extend the hard disk automatically, so which means that the moment hard disk becomes full at 80%, then a alert should go. If the alert needs to go, means monitoring should happen. So which means that a monitoring should be configured in your mechanism, right? And continuous development. When I say development, which means that how does the, how it should trigger. Basically, when it becomes 80% full, monitoring should happen, monitor will happen. But when it monitors that 80%, what it should do next? The next step is that automatically the disk space should get increased, which means that somebody should tell that particular system that your hard disk is full and do the next task. For that, we need to write some kind of a code. So the development, which you can do with Python or Node.js or whatever the coding language, by using AWS Lambda, you can do that also. So which can, what it will do is that, which will internally trigger, when the monitoring happens, it triggers to that particular part to get that, okay, this is full, alert monitoring, CloudWatch is doing the monitoring and it's triggering to the AWS Lambda. Inside the Lambda, there is a Python code, which is, we call it as function, which triggers, which works. And, the next is the integration. Integration means the integration of Lambda with my monitoring with my EC2. So that comes under continuous integration, right? And the background testing. So basically, whether it's working fine or not, all those things need to be tested. So basically, DevOps is nothing but an agile model which needs the continuous deployment, which needs the continuous development, which needs the continuous testing, which needs the continuous integration, and which needs continuous monitoring. Okay. Now, all these, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring, continuous development, right? When you have all this picture into the place, that is when you can that is when you can automate your infrastructure. You can automate your infrastructure, you can automate your application, you can automate your code. Means anything you want to automate, basically it is possible only when you have these 5 parameters. Now you will say that, sir, you are telling Chef, Puppet, Ansible, do I need to know that? Or you are telling, Jenkins, Git, GitHub, do you want to know this? Or you are telling that, Splunk, Nagios for the monitoring, you are telling Bamboo and other things for the Jenkins and other thing for the integration, and you are telling for testing Selenium and all. So the developers who want to get into automation world, right? For those people, this is very, very much required. And for the administrators who want to get into automation world, for them also, this is required. Now, you might ask me, sir, do I need to learn Chef, Puppet, Ansible? Means this is one option you have. Okay. This is open, means third-party application, third-party option, which you get in the, Chef, Puppet, Ansible. These are the different types of tools. If you have the knowledge and all these tools, it will become helpful for you, and it is an advantage for you to get into DevOps. So DevOps, as I told you, development plus operations model, which can automate your infrastructure development, your application development, your network development, your database development, any kind of a development activity if you want to do, means any kind of an automation activity you want to do with the help of development and operations, we call it as DevOps. This DevOps requires a 5 types of entities. One is called as continuous development, one is called as continuous deployment, one is called as continuous testing, one is called as continuous integration, one is called as continuous monitoring. Now, people will ask me a question, sir, do I need to know a coding? Yes, to such some extent, you should have a knowledge. Now, some people ask you, sir, I'm a very good programmer, but I don't have any knowledge in operations. Will it work? No, you also need to have a operations knowledge. That's the reason I said development plus operations together, we call it as DevOps. Now, who can go into this? People who don't want to be on the infrastructure side, who want to go to the next level of automation and who want to purely focus on the automation. For those people, this will be very good advantage for the environment. Okay. This is about the DevOps overview. Okay. Now, so many things will come under the DevOps. Your cloud formation also comes under the DevOps area because it is also comes under infrastructure as a code. And there are so many other things are also there, like Dockers also will come under one of the, development overview, right? So that also will come under the infrastructure as a code. Like this, there are so many different types of, DevOps solutions are there. So let us understand the service which AWS has, which is called as AWS Cloud Formation. Then we'll discuss about Dockers. What is Dockers? So AWS Cloud Formation is nothing but infrastructure as a code. Now, if you want to install an application, or if you want to install a VM or a load balancer or anything on the XYZ services, you can directly do from the graphical management console and easily you can deploy. There's no doubt about it. Let's assume you want to create a bucket, you want to copy the data, you want to do XYZ scenarios, everything you can do through your AWS management console. But let's assume that you have so much of data and so much of configurations need to be done. Practically, it will become very tough to understand and manage it. So if you want to automate that work, you can write through a code. So means everything, you want to create a load balancer, you want to create a web server, you want to install an instance, everything can be written as a code. So infrastructure as a code using configuration files. So you can manually initiate and maintain the infrastructure. Both administrators and developer can initiate this infrastructure using some configuration files, because basically writing a code. So the benefits here is that, so infrastructure as a code, what exactly it will do is that it will reduce your labor cost, because you are not using so many resources because you're automating. The speed of execution is faster. The reason is that everything is programmed. You are not doing anything manually. And reduce risk, minimize errors and security violations, like anything, any kind of an errors or anything, you'll get to know easily. That is one advantage what you get. So with your infrastructure as a code, because you are using DevOps methodology. AWS has infrastructure as a code. Amazon is providing a service called as Cloud Formation. So I am going to tell you one more service, means one more feature, which is not part of Amazon. It is just, I am teaching you only because in interview they'll ask you. So don't expect that this is a part of course. Okay. So there's one more technology called as Terraform. Okay. I'm just giving you that knowledge also, just to if somebody asks you in interview, so that you can at least answer. So Terraform is also one of the solution which is there in the market, that also does the infrastructure as a code only. Both are infrastructure as a code only, which means that if you want to write, if you want to do in Amazon anything through the code, you can do through CloudFormation, which supports JSON, JavaScript object notation, or YAML language. These two languages are supported to infrastructure as a code when it comes to CloudFormation. Now you want to go with Terraform. Terraform is HashiCorp. That is also works as a code infrastructure as a code. Both are same almost. There's no difference, but the difference is that CloudFormation is only related to Amazon service. Means you cannot use this CloudFormation for Azure or Google Cloud or anything. It only works and supports in AWS platform. You can only use it and you can deploy it in the AWS platform, and it allows you to provision and automate your AWS platform. But when it comes to the CloudFormation, as I told you, right, CloudFormation in AWS, you can integrate with you can integrate with multiple services, you can work on it. But multi-cloud, suppose you want to do certain tasks in the Azure, certain tasks in Google Cloud, then your CloudFormation is not a good idea. Then you need to go with the Terraform. So Terraform is cloud agnostic. Terraform works with several cloud providers like GCP, Azure, and AWS. Terraform integrates with other tools. Terraform can be orchestrated using the OpenStack clusters. Terraform can orchestrate by enabling the support services, and it can also do the interoperations. All those are the advantages what you get in Terraform. Terraform supports both open source versus proprietary. Terraform is an open source software. Anyone can contribute to the project. So open source, as I said, right? Open source means it is like how we have a Linux. Same way, this is an open source product where HashiCorp is providing you. You can download from github.com, this Terraform, and you can start using it. But CloudFormation, you can go only with AWS because it is directly from the AWS service. Okay. And the simple structure, AWS CloudForm will work with your JSON and YAML based format. That's the reason that format is different. And when it comes to Terraform, Terraform has simple syntaxes which you can use and you can start working on it. Both are good tools, but Terraform is open source, CloudFormation is Amazon's, and CloudFormation only supports in AWS layer, and Terraform will support other layers also. The configuration languages, as I told you, Terraform supports HashiCorp language, HCL, and JSON, JavaScript language. CloudFormation supports JSON and YAML. CloudFormation doesn't support HashiCorp. So if you want to write an infrastructure as a code, you can go with this one. And the managing state, as I told you, suppose if you created a stack and your developer want to do any changes in the CloudFormation, he can directly go to the graphical console or AWS CLI and he can modify. But when it comes to the Terraform, you do not have as such graphical console. You just need to go to the Terraform console CLI and not graphical, it's a command line. And there you can optimize and you can change the code, whatever you want to do. So like this, you can configure your CloudForm versus Terraform. Both are very good tools. So either you can go with CloudFormation or you can go with Terraform. So in interview, if they ask you infrastructure as a code from the Amazon side, you can say CloudFormation. From the third party, you can say Terraform. Now the next question will be there, like, sir, can we work on it? Can we do it? This is the next level thing. People who want to get into automation world, then the first step is that suppose somebody want to learn cloud automation, not generic automation. When we say cloud automation, that is where you need to learn AWS solution architect course. Then second, you need to learn cloud, basically AWS Terraform, cloud formation, and the third party Terraform you can learn. If you learn these two, and then you need to learn Dockers, nothing but containers, ECS we say, and Kubernetes, EKS. And along with that, networking is what you need to learn when it comes to cloud automation. So this is just a high level overview topic. This is just to understand. Now, if you want to start working on this, you need to know the language. What language you should know? Either HashiCorp or JSON. If you know how to write the language, then you can start using it. For that, you need to upgrade your skills to the next level, that is called as AWS Developer Associate. If you want to only focus on cloud formation and other services of AWS, development services like cloud deploy, cloud commit, and cloud code deploy and code commit, and all those things you will learn along with cloud formation. You just want to don't want to go with AWS, then you just want to stay focused on third-party application or open source, then you have Terraform. For that also you need to learn separately, then you will get that knowledge. So basically, as I told you, it's an infrastructure as a code solution where you can use this to write the code. Okay. So my voice is breaking.
No, Samir.
No, sir.
No, Samir, it's audible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the two solutions which we have in AWS. Or if somebody asks you on interview, so they will see, it depends, like if you are, what kind of a role you're going. If you're going with a developer role on the cloud, then definitely you need to know the coding. Or if you're going with an automation expert role, then you need to know the coding. If you're going as an infrastructure guy, then you no need to learn, or you no need to have the coding knowledge. So this service is helpful for the coding. Now you will ask me a question, sir. When we have a graphical console, when we can do everything through graphical console, why I need to write a code? Why I need to do an automation, right? Yes, everything can be done through graphical console. All flexibility Amazon has given you, everything by graphical console. But why we need to have this cloud formation is that it will make your life easier when there is a tasks, multiple tasks which you need to do it for different environments. Let's assume you got an environment production, some 32 servers or 50 servers you want to deploy with different set of configuration. Manually doing, there will be so many problems, there will be a delay, there will be errors, there will be issues. So if you have a code available and you can easily complete those tasks and you can automate the task, that is the advantage of going with the infrastructure as a code. Everything you're writing in one code and you're running that code just as a file, and automatically system takes that file and automatically does it. So within few seconds, your code is getting executed. Okay. So I will just, as to show you, I'll just show you a simple code, how to execute it. So, but you need to have a knowledge on, you should have a knowledge on coding, then only it will be more helpful. But just to show you, I'll be doing it, a simple code. But if you have the knowledge, it will become more easy for you to understand. So just a second, let me log into my console. One second. Okay. So I'm just if you're able to see my screen. This is my cloud formation service, which will help you to create the code. So as I told you, you need to have the template, you need to have the code ready to do anything. So we do not have any code or anything. So we can create a simple code. Use a sample template. If you want, you can go directly. There are ready-made templates are available. You can use it. No, you don't want to use the ready-made templates. You want to create, you can say create a template. So there is an option called create a template in Designer. So there is one design view is there where you can write the, where you can make the code and deploy. So let's assume that I want to create a bucket in S3. Just take a simple, easy one. Let's assume that I want to create a bucket. I just drag and drop. The moment I drag and drop, at the bottom, I have a code here, which is already created. So I'll copy this code. And what I'll do is that I'll paste it in my notepad. I will open one notepad. Control V. This is my code. This is the code to create a bucket. Now, if you want, you can give a bucket name, whatever you want, you can give it. If you have the, if you want to give it. I'm not giving anything. I just created a syntax and writing it. I will say S3 bucket is my code. I think I saved in desktop only, na? Yeah, I saved in a desktop. So I created it, I closed it. So let's assume that I want to, run this, right? So how do I run it, right? So I create a stack. I can say template is ready, upload a template file. Once you've written the code, you can upload, or else if it is there in your S3, you can put the S3. So I can, what was the name we have given for the code? S3 bucket, no? Okay. Click on open. So I have uploaded it. I'll say next. It's asking for a name. I will say test bucket code. I will give and say next. It's asking for the key and the permission. No roles. You want to define any role? I will leave it. I'm not defining any role. I'll go with default. Click on next. And say create stack. Right? So I written a code and I have run this code. So the code is basically to create a bucket. It's a simple one. Whatever you want later, if you have the knowledge on JSON, you can write as per your requirement. So creation progress means the code is getting executed now. So you can see here, code got completed. Can you see that? The creation got completed. If I refresh, you can see, right? The bucket, test bucket code got executed successfully. Now, how will I know that whether it's working fine or not? How will I know? Hello, am I audible? I need to go to
Yes.
S3. If I go to S3, I should be able to see that bucket. Can you see that? the bucket got created. Can you see this? Test bucket code. I have given the name, right? So the bucket got created. Now it has taken its own details. The reason is that we have not specified what name we need, right? In the code, I have not specified anything, but you can see within second, it got created through my CloudFormation. I haven't done anything. I just ran that through my CloudFormation. I went here, clicked on CloudFormation. I've executed this code and this test bucket code, and successfully it got created. If I want, I can create multiple codes, multiple things I can configure, and I can do it. Now, this is a simple code. It is done. It got created. But if you want to do little high level, then you need to know the JSON language to write the code. So if you have the high level language, it will get it. Sir, it got executed the moment we created, or can we manually run it? It got created just now because we executed it. So once it got executed, then only it got created. If not, it wouldn't have got created. So you can do anything. It is up to you. All that you need to do is that open a notepad, write the code what you want. Like for example, you want to build a web server. Go to Google. Okay. Web server, CloudFormation. CloudFormation template. Okay, for example, for EC2, you want to create an EC2 machine, right? So if you go here, it will give you the templates. So if you know the coding on the JSON, you need to make sure that copy this code, create, automate your requirement, or you can work with the developer. So scroll down here. Can you see this? Everyone can see this?
Yes, sir.
So you need to modify by giving your instance name what you need. You need what kind of an availability zone you need to select. Everything you need to make this code ready, and then you copy that and paste it in your notepad and upload the file and say run. Then automatically the instance will get created. So what I mean to say is that it is not just one instance or anything. Whatever you want, anything can be automated with the help of code. I didn't understood, Raj Agarwal, your question. Can you ask me?
Sir, when we created that CloudFormation code for test bucket, the moment we created the code, it got executed, or we need to run it manually?
No, the moment we say created the code and we say execute, that started executing.
Can you just please show me the execution button?
Same thing. You went here, you said create stack with new resources, and you upload the file. Scroll down, upload a template, choose file, and I have selected this S3 bucket. Say open, and then say next, and give a name. Let's assume Raj Agarwal code. I'm just giving a name. Scroll down, next, and say next, and scroll down and say create stack. The moment you say create stack, the stack will be running.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Moment we
And
created,
automatically
it got done. Yeah.
Yeah. The status got initiated. After that, few seconds, your Raj Agarwal code got executes and it will show you the result.
Suppose if we want to again run this,
Means I didn't understand.
it can be executed only once, right?
Yes.
Same code cannot be executed multiple times.
You can, if you want to do any kind of a modification, you can do the rollback.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So Samir, now suppose once you created, then does it have a like any event status? Okay, once run, then second time it will not run, because once created, then again after 30 minutes it's run again and created another work.
No, it won't do that. If there is any problem, it will do auto rollback.
Okay.
If there is any issue with the code, it doesn't auto rollback, so you no need to do anything.
Sir, how about if we want to run EC2 creation code on a regular basis, say like whenever we want to run next
What is
time,
the question? I didn't
we use the
understand.
previous code.
Can you
Suppose
please
we want
loudly
to create
speak?
an EC2 machine through cloud. Hello.
Yeah.
Suppose we want to create an EC through this auto cloud formation.
Yeah.
Again, we need to create the same.
No,
create
you can
step,
update.
or
You can
we
click on
use
the
the previous
code,
template.
click on update, which template you want, current template, click on next, and next, and next, and execute it.
This execution can also be automated.
Yes, that's what I said. Suppose you did some changes, you want to update, you can update. As of now, I don't have any changes. So once I say update stack, then automatically that stack will get updated. Suppose assume that this is your code.
Yeah.
You did some update and modifications you did, and you want to rerun it. You click on update and run it.
Samir, in this stack, whenever
it
we
will update
deploy,
the same
before that
bucket?
we need to modify manually, right?
Which one?
The stack, when you are saying that now we need to modify before we deploy again, in case any changes over there. So update, before update, we need to manually input the.
Yes. It is the same in any development language.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sunil, how can we create multiple bucket using one step? Is it possible?
You can create. For that only I said you need to have the JSON language.
Okay, so I have to modify this code in
Yes.
JSON, whatever the file I uploaded.
Yes.
Right?
If you have, as long as you have JSON coding language, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. So is this code available on Google?
No.
So we have to write, right?
You need to write. That's the reason I said that if you want to learn this, you should have the development knowledge, developer associate, the next level. There is a course called as AWS Developer Associate.
Okay.
Yeah, and you need to learn JSON language.
Samir.
Yeah.
If I would host a static website into a multiple EC2, so can we use CloudFormation?
What you want to host a static website in EC2? You're saying?
Yeah, website, static website into multiple EC2.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so what is the difference in code commit and CloudFormation? Because both are doing same job, right?
No. Code commit is different. CloudFormation is different. Okay. Code commit is completely different compared to the your what is that, CloudFormation. Okay. Code commit is basically AWS again service which works with Git repositories. Okay. Here it is not depending on any kind of a repository. It is a directly JSON language. Okay. And code commit uses the private Git formulas, and it requires the binary files where you need to upload, and where you can also integrate third-party tools. Also, you can use it through code commit. Okay. But basically it uses complete Git and Git repositories, and there you can also integrate with the DynamoDB or any kind of a databases. And for the large number of communication, you can use the Git based clients. Also you can integrate, and you can integrate with repositories. All those things are possible when it comes to the code commit. Code when it comes to the cloud formation, it is completely different. You are not depending on any kind of a repository or anything. Here it is purely cloud formation is working on JSON or ML language. So you need to write the language. You should write a code to run the stack. That is purely for the application development. This is for the infrastructure development. Two different things.
Okay, so Samir, now suppose I will host a static website, then the file and I have a 10 files, HTML file, JavaScript files and all images. So how this cloud formation get pick up those file and host to EC1, EC2 and EC3?
You need to write the code by pointing with your S3 storage.
So it means first I will store all static files into S3, then I will point out, okay, fetch those files and host
Yes.
to EC2, EC2, EC2 kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one of the solution we have, cloud formation and Terraform. And then we have something called as Docker. So this is one more, Docker is again a different compared to your cloud formation. So Docker in AWS, we call it as ECS, Elastic Container Service. So what is this compared to, Docker versus, Elastic Container Service? You need to understand. So basically Docker is like, as I told you, right? The Docker is a solution which is again, container solution, we say. Basically, you're making the application as a package. And in general, if you have a VM, let's take that you want to deploy a VM, what is that you needed in the background? You need a hardware, you need an hypervisor. Top of hypervisor, you need an operating system to deploy. That is what you call it as Docker, right? But when it comes to the, basically the VM which you will deploy. But when it comes to the Dockers doesn't need any kind of an hypervisor. Means you don't need to have any virtualization technology at all. It can run in the plain operating systems. A normal computers, it can run. So to understand in the easiest way, so Docker, when it comes to the VM virtualization, in virtualization, you need the complete operating system, complete hardware, complete dependency, everything is required. But when it comes to the Dockers, containers, we don't need that, because Docker is a platform which just an abstraction layer of your physical hardware which it can run. And Docker, the advantage is that you can spin up your applications faster. It's an open source and very lightweight. It doesn't hold any kind of an operating system. It's very lightweight and you can move quickly. You can deploy quickly, very faster. And the capital expenditure and operational expenditure is completely zero. So if you see my screen, so when you go with the virtualization, you have an infrastructure. Top of that, you have a hypervisor. Then you top of that, you have an operating systems. Then you have application 1, application 2, application 3. Like this, you have different libraries you need to deploy, and which allows your CPU, RAM, disk, and it consumes, all kinds of licenses for all these things. But when the means basically when you have a virtual machine, which is nothing but dedicated, it's basically a dedicated operating system you're getting with a security, with all kinds of features, with management tools. But Docker is nothing like that. Docker is a small container image, which is a lightweight standalone, which is basically a package of a software, which consists of a code, which consists of a runtime, which consists of a tools, libraries, and settings, everything. And when it comes to the images, it's containers runtime. In case of Docker, what happens is that it requires a Docker engine in the background. So by default, which it comes with. and it's available in both Windows and Linux based solution. And it's an abstraction of the application layer, and that which will package, and multiple containers you can deploy, and in the multiple applications you can deploy. It uses fewer VMs and operating systems. So this is how the architecture is there for the containers. Basically the hardware. Top of that, host operating system. Host operating system means you can run your Docker either in Windows OS or a Linux OS or a Mac OS. You just need to go to Google, type Docker download in Windows, Docker download in Linux, you will get it. So you can just install the Docker and you can execute it. The advantage is that, as I told you, Docker advantage is that it contains, right, its own kernel, and host OS can be anything. And if you want to stop or start within minutes and within seconds, milliseconds, you can do it. When it comes to VMs, it will take some time to boot and some time to, reboot. There is a time taken, but when it comes to Docker, it is very, very faster. Within seconds, you can power on the VMs and power on the containers and power off the containers, because it doesn't take much time. And you will have the basic advantage for the development team is that full control on the execution environment, and the infrastructure can be changed easily and independently by development team. They no need to wait the operations team to change the environment. Docker image consists of your VM arguments. It consists of environment variables. It consists of files, folders, permissions, and application. It consists of everything what needed to execute the image. One more advantage is that reduce risk. The risk level is very less, because if you do not have the Docker, if you are using the normal environment, let's assume one developer is working on one VM, other developer is working on another VM, and he has some release which he need to do it. There are chances that, whenever he runs or whenever he executes some releases, it might take some time. But here, whatever the same changes, whatever he is doing, that is same to same is getting, you can easily replicate and you can easily copy. So that will be the advantage of your, Dockers. The advantage is that whatever the production server, he want to do it in the test or anything, the same image you can run on any of these production test or any kind of environment. So it will reduce your time. So Docker image will use for integration of build image, integration, acceptance, capacity, pre-production, production. You just need to update your image on the pipeline. So advantage of the operations team, basically what is the benefit for the operations team is that they no need to maintain the environments and reduce risk. There's no risk way to maintain it. And it maintains the consistent environment. The Docker is easy to create and serve several instances of environment, and easy updating of applications and environment. And we don't, with Docker, we don't have to take an existing environment into account. We just stop the running container and start the new one. So if there is any changes or anything, so that is the benefit. So lightweight, native performance, all containers share the same host OS, means multiple containers you can deploy. OS level virtualization, their hardware level. So here there's no hardware dependency. It's completely OS dependency. Startup time in milliseconds, requires less memory space, and process level isolation, and possibly less secure when it compared to VMs. VMs, because you're getting a dedicated security when it comes to virtual machine. So when we say container, when you say less secure, doesn't mean that it is insecure. It is basically on the isolation level, the security level is less, but when you deploy on the security side on the application, it will be there. So you will get Linux based containers and generic Dockers. So where you can get it and you can download from your docker.com. If you go, you will get all this format. Quicker spinning, you can spin quickly. Security updates, less code. It will reduce the snapshots. So you can do it on the Windows platform or Docker platform or the Linux platform. So major differences, as I told you, Docker compared to VM. Docker self-contained packages that can require application, lightweight architecture, development purpose. Docker contains the ideal choice. VM is an isolated platform, so you can't, if you want to have a complete isolated environment, you can. So resource usage also varies between your Docker and VM. So as I mentioned, those are the major advantages: process level isolation and reducing the time, and can create in seconds. And you can use third-party application tools also for the Dockers. So if you see the major architectural difference in the VM, the host OS is there, then your hypervisor is there, then operating system and the VMs, virtual machines. But here it is just the OS kernel and the applications. So the time taken to load or anything, it will become faster because you're using less configuration libraries. So there are certain use questions are there. Suppose I have a system with only 4 GB of RAM and I want to run 4 instances of particular DevOps tool, which is one of the best choice. 4 VMs with the 4 different instances of the tool, 1 VM with the 4 different instances of the tool, 4 Docker containers with different instances of the tool. So Docker containers will utilize lesser RAM compared to VMs. That's the reason obviously we'll go with the Docker. So how you can integrate Docker? So the advantage is that Docker is designed for both developers and administrators as a part of DevOps tools machine. So how is Docker used in DevOps? I already told you. Continuous testing plus continuous deployment plus continuous monitoring plus continuous integration, all together we call it as DevOps. So combination of continuous deployment and continuous testing comes under your containerization. So whenever you do the continuous deployment and whenever you're doing the continuous testing, together the deployment, so containerization also one of the solution which can execute your runtime environment and your dependencies and everything as single package. That's the reason we use this DevOps. And this is how the Docker engine is there. Whether if it is a Windows or a Linux or any kind of an operating system, there will be a Docker client which will be talking to the Docker daemon, nothing but Docker architecture, engine architecture. So there are certain communications of the, how does the communication between Docker client and Docker daemon will happen? Basically through REST APIs and TCP and socket IOs, the communication happens. And Docker images and containers. Docker images is nothing but like how you have in VM AMI. In Docker, we call it as images, Docker image. In general, you call in VM in your AWS EC2, you learn about AMI, right? Same way here, we call it as images. So Docker images. And container is nothing but all images in a single location. We call it as containers, where you can run the different types of application. And Docker registry is nothing but, as I told you, it will contact your Docker hub to get all the kinds of registry, and where you can integrate your images, download your images, and you can execute your images, everything through registry. So that is how the communication between client, host, and registry works. And then you have certain question and answers on how the Docker works. This is all about generic Docker. So this all what we discussed is about generic Docker. In AWS, you don't have any of these headaches of understanding or installing this Docker engine or image or anything. Amazon is giving you a ready-made platform called as ECS, Elastic Container Service. So Amazon Elastic Container Service is nothing but, in the background, it is nothing but your Docker. So which is ready-made installed platform, means already Docker image, everything is ready-made installed. You just need to create the containers and you can start working, and you can create the packages. Let's assume that you want to configure a simple website. You can directly go to instance, install IAS, configure upload the files, everything you can do. Same thing you can do through container service also. Rather than going and creating, see, if you want to create a web server, if you're going and deploying in EC2, then you are managing the instance and you're managing the OS license, then you are managing the IAS, then you're so many things you're doing. Here directly the upper layer where you're directly putting your files through your containers, basically images, to launch and execute faster. In ECS, you can also create load balancers, you can configure security groups, you can create volumes, all those things can be done through your container service. So this is also part of your DevOps where you will be learning it, how to do it. So this is just an overview session of your development DevOps. So Docker is one solution you have, and you have other solution in Docker. In AWS, we call it as ECS. And further to Docker, for the orchestration, if you want, Amazon is providing one more service called as EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, which is the big brother of your Docker, nothing but Elastic Container Service. In Elastic Container Service, you can create the packages, but you cannot do workflows, nothing but orchestration. If you want to do the orchestration further, then Amazon is giving you EKS, nothing but Kubernetes service. And no, you want to just write as a code, then Amazon is giving you CloudFormation service, AWS CloudFormation. So all these are the different types of development methods which Amazon is providing you. This is just for your understanding, a high level knowledge. Now you want to get into deep and depth of this development, then I would recommend you to join a course called as AWS Developer Associate or Cloud DevOps or in generic Developer Associate. If you learn Cloud Developer Associate, then they will, or if you learn Cloud Automation Engineer or Cloud Automation course, then they will teach you CloudFormation. Also, they'll teach you. They will teach you Terraform. They will teach you Dockers. They will teach you Kubernetes. All those things will come along with Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Jenkins, and all. But those things they will not give you more, because they will be mostly focusing on CloudFormation, Terraform, and Kubernetes and Dockers. But if you're going with generic DevOps, there they will teach you Nagios, they will teach you Selenium, the testing-based solution. Then they'll teach you Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Jenkins, Git, GitHub, all those things they'll teach you. Now, if you're going with AWS DevOps, then they'll teach you ECS, Elastic Container Service. Then they'll teach you Elastic Beanstalk. Then they'll teach you AWS Lambda. Then they'll teach you CloudFormation. All those things they'll teach you. For doing any of these things, minimum 2 programming languages you should know. One is called as JSON. Second one is called as Python. If you have these 2 languages, then you are good to go with your developer course. Clear?
Samir, what does Beanstalk in AWS?
Same to same. It is basically a web application service. Okay. So if you want to go with Elastic Beanstalk, so what does this Elastic Beanstalk does is that now what is the AWS Lambda does? I told you.
Yes, this you will create the function and auto triggered and execute the logic and whatever you did the logic.
Yeah, but that Lambda is not for the web application. It is for in that you are basically configuring serverless computing. So let's assume that you want to create a volume based integration. You're writing a code, and that code in the background using some resources to deploy, right? So Elastic Beanstalk is nothing but it is purely used for web applications. What? For what purpose? Web applications and services developed by web applications like Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Python, Ruby, Docker, or anything which uses Apache and Passenger and IAS or Nginx. So these kind of tools which will use, simply you need to upload your code, and Elastic Beanstalk will handle automatically the deployment of your web application by using load balancing and auto scaling solution. So in easiest way to answer your question is that it is a tool mostly used for all kinds of web application based deployments. If you want to do any kind of a web application based deployments, then you need to go and configure in your Elastic Beanstalk.
Samir, will there be any class tomorrow?
Yes, there is one more class is there.
No. Tomorrow will there be any class? Because tomorrow is Holi, I think.
I don't know, like if people want to take, I am okay, I am available. If you want to take week off, tomorrow don't want class, then we need to take next weekend. No, everyone available, then I am okay tomorrow. It's up to you guys. You confirm and let me know. Because morning batch, they said they don't want because of Holi.
Yeah, same thing for us, I think, as well. Already Raj confirmed that take a break tomorrow. And so, Samir, what about that? We have discussed earlier as well in the class that regarding the question answers for.
I will give you some few dumps, new dumps you are going to come. I have not yet received from the exam center person. Once I get, I'll give you. But you can start, you guys can start writing the assignments. Have you started writing the assignments?
Samir, we haven't received assignment.
How come? I think it is
don't
there.
No, I haven't received LMS.
You don't have the assignment
No,
in
I
your
have.
LMS?
No, it's not there.
Okay, how many people doesn't have the assignments in your?
Samir, I need to check actually. I have not checked.
Most of them should have the assignments. If it is not there, I'll ask them to enable the assignments.
Okay, that's great.
See, one more thing I'll tell you. In this Thursday, I am going to sit. Means next week, I'm going to sit with my team, and I am going to optimize all PPTs and I'll upload it. Okay, and along with the dumps. So remember here, what I am giving dumps is from my side, just for you, helping you for the exam. Don't think that only will come in the exam. Okay, there might be small here and there. You might get 70 to 80% from the dumps. So before that, if you are able to clear these assignments, 85% you can clear the real exam. Okay, if your luck is very, very good, then I can't do anything. Okay, but if you're able to clear these assignments, then the chances of clearing the actual exam will be 100%. Like, you can clear the real exams. So I will enable the assignments. I'll ask them to enable the assignments. And what I can do is that another help, I have not received any latest dumps from any exam center. So I'm trying to find out the latest dumps. So Thursday, once I get, I'll share you in the WhatsApp, but don't blame me later if you failed the exam that, you prepared only that dump. I'm just helping from my side.
Sure, Samir. And one more thing is, how do we give these exams? Do we get any? We need to speak with Saurabh regarding that, or you can guide us. Like
some people, I think they have joined from HT. Some people have joined from Webson. You need to contact your coordinators. They will provide you the exam vouchers. So,
okay.
to get the voucher, you need to clear these assignments. Okay, so the moment you complete the assignment, they will give you the vouchers and you can write the exam.
Samir, how long these assignment will be active, like valid?
It is active.
Samir, 4 assignment पूरा करना है ना?
हाँ 4 assignments आपको खत्म करना है.
और 4 में 95% लाना है.
हाँ, मैं वो सुनने पे.
हाँ 4 में लाना.
एक ही में 96% है, उसके बाद किसी में 90% होता है, किसी में 91.
सुनो मेरी बात सुनो. 1 2 3 बार ट्राई करो, हो जाएगा वो थोड़ा ट्विस्ट है. ओके, वो अगर आप 2 3 बार ट्राई करोगे ना, हो जाएगा.
तो मतलब 4 असाइनमेंट में हम लोगों को 95% होने के बाद डू आई नीड टू स्पीक विद सौरभ?
Yes, once you complete, they will get a notification automatically. They'll send you the.
समीर, ये प्रॉब्लम है ना कि किसी में यदि 91% भी है तो सब पता नहीं चल रहा है कि कौन सा मतलब आंसर रॉन्ग है, गलत है.
Very simple. आपको जस्ट कॉपी कर लो नोटपैड में. ओके, तो ऑलरेडी ये ट्रिक मैं दूसरे बंदे को बताया हूँ. जस्ट कॉपी नोटपैड में कर लो. जो आंसर आपको गलत लगता है, विच यूर श्योर शॉट, जस्ट लेट मी नो ऑफलाइन. आई विल टेल यू.
ठीक है. हाँ, क्या गुड आइडिया है.
हाँ, ओके, तो मैं आपको हेल्प कर सकता हूँ. आपको जो गलत लगता है, मुझे पूरा डंप भेजो मत 90 क्वेश्चंस का, उतना टाइम नहीं मिलता है पढ़ने के लिए. Okay. जो आपको लगता है कि this is wrong, this might be wrong, I'll tell you the answer.
Sameer, I was asking like how long this assignment will be
It is available for 12 months.
For 12 months.
Okay.
Samir, can you upload today's PPT also?
Thursday I will do it. I'll just need to do
Okay.
some kind of corrections on the PPTs.
Hmm.
Okay, which I'll be doing it, and then I will upload everything separately, one topic, and I'll do it on Thursday, and I'll let you know once it is done. I will only message you.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Amir, if we log in and
You upload in LMS or you upload in WhatsApp group?
LMS.
so Samir, this assignment is immediately we log on to LMS and we'll get that assignment, right? 4 assignments.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And Samir, one more help is required. I require interview questions.
So interview questions. Okay. So okay. For first thing is that how many people want help for the resume preparation? First, you need to tell me what position you are trying to apply. Okay. Then I can tell you how the interview questions you need to prepare. If you are not clear what you are going to apply, and if you ask me, I'll not be able to help. So if you tell that you want to try for architect, then I will give you architect question and answers.
समीर अभी ये अमेज़न में ये क्लाउड सपोर्ट इंजीनियर का बहुत सारा निकला हुआ है, तो मैंने अभी अप्लाई किया है उसमें.
ये काम करो अंकित, आप मुझे मेरे व्हाट्सएप में वो रोल का डिस्क्रिप्शन भेज दो. मैं क्या करूंगा उसके हिसाब से आपको क्वेश्चन आंसर्स बताऊंगा क्या क्या प्रिपेयर करना है. अमेज़न डायरेक्ट अमेज़न का है क्या वो?
हाँ, अमेज़न जॉब्स पे है.
तो मुझे मालूम है कौन कौन इंटरव्यू करेगा. मैं आपको वो पूरा छान के आपको क्या क्या पूछेंगे सब कुछ बताऊंगा मैं आपको. मुझे बस रोल का क्या रोल है वो, मतलब वो डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड टेल मी द कोड, दैट्स इट. आई विल
मैं जेडी शेयर कर दूंगा.
या जेडी मुझे शेयर कर दो बस. ओके. थैंक यू गाइस. या निशांत,
I need your help if you have time, little 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can call me on my mobile number.
Samir, so I need to leave because I have to join my office.
Yeah, sure. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.